Analysis: How a U.S. debt default could impact Americans. A U.S. debt default could have significant impacts on Americans. Here are some potential effects. Immediate crisis: a default could induce a global financial crisis and a recession. The first debt default in U.S. history could trigger an economic catastrophe. Allowing the U.S. to default on its debts would induce a self-inflicted recession. Economic impacts: a default could reverse the historic economic gains that have been achieved since the president took office. Higher interest rates would affect everything from credit cards to auto loans to mortgages. The interest rates on financial instruments that households and businesses use would skyrocket due to risks of an uncertain future. A protracted default would likely lead to severe damage to the economy, with job growth swinging from its current pace of robust gains to losses. Hardship to Americans: a debt default would cause severe hardship to American families. Millions of Americans who rely on federal payments to make ends meet could be negatively impacted if the government is unable to pay its bills. If the U.S. defaults, it is unlikely that the federal government would be able to issue payments to millions of Americans, including our military families. Uncertainty: the time frame of the impacts is unclear. Since the United States has never defaulted, there's very little Americans can do to prepare for the unprecedented event of a U.S. debt default, since it's difficult to know what payment would be made, in full or in part, as well as the timing. If the U.S. cannot pay its bills, that crunch will lead to economic ripple effects across the country and globe. Please subscribe and join the conversation.